Hey, all you hot messes. We are back for another week. I'm Jess.
And I'm Vinny, aka Mr. Thomas English, aka my mic just suddenly got really low. Okay, there we go. You raise me up.
This week's hot take is themed classrooms. Having a themed classroom, not having a themed classroom. My hot take on this is no, don't do it. Themed classrooms are not the vibe and where you should be putting your attention. It sounds like a really good idea. It sounds like it. And it might look like it on Instagram and on TikTok and on all these places where these overachiever teachers are doing these things. But it's not a good idea because that theme is something that you love for the moment. And then the next year, you're like, I hate that. And you have to change it. Redo everything. Don't do it.
I had a themed classroom.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
You know, Disney's not a theme. Disney is forever. And I had a Disney themed classroom. But in all honesty, I openly admit this. I basically started off by doing a Disney themed classroom because I was like, oh my gosh, like I can pick whatever theme I want. I'm going to go the Disney route because my full process behind this was it's for the kids, but really it's for me. I'm like, you know, if this is my prison cell where I have to live the rest of my days whilst I'm in this building, I would like to look at the wall and see something that brings me joy instead of like a plain white wall that I'm just like, I feel like I'm in like a mental asylum and I'm struggling, especially on those low days. So, yeah, But I will admit, I went overboard. I started by being like, oh, I'm just going to put like a few posters up, you know, a bit here, a bit there. Then I discovered US thrift stores, which are significantly better than the charity shops we have in England.
Really?
Yeah, like you have so much stuff in your thrift stores here. Like me and my wife go thrift store shopping for like, that's our like leisure activity.
Oh my gosh, that's
like,
adorable.
Whereas like in England and like here, like thrift store shopping is a subculture. Like
it really is.
People are like, oh, look what I found at a thrift store. And people get really excited versus in England, if you're like, oh, look what I found at the charity shop. Everyone's like, oh, you've got Mildred's like deceased aunt's a blouse from the charity shop? Like, okay. Like, and people turn their nose up at it.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that you can find so much good quality stuff at a thrift store, like it's just mind blowing to me. So
yeah,
I went to thrift stores, discovered them, and I went absolutely insane and just bought more and more. I would find like Monsters University, like party sets of like banners and stuff. And I'd be like, oh, I'll add that to that wall and then this wall. It got to the point where every single wall in my classroom was completely submerged and covered in Disney stuff.
Oh, no.
And then at one point, my wife turned around to me and was like, don't you think it's a little bit overstimulating? And I looked at the wall and was like, yeah, it's a bit much.
Think I've lost myself. Oh, no. Did you do like Disney puns? Like Disney education pun? Oh, tell me right now.
I had a wall of good student work.
Tell me.
The border was made with Post-it notes that I'd sellotape together in a square so that I could put some A4 paper in the middle of it. And I only had 6 pieces of work up at a time. And I had these like Finding Nemo wall stickers that I found at a thrift store. And I put Finn on Nemo work. So Finn for Nemo's Finn.
Yep.
I forgot the O originally. So I just said Finn, Nemo. So Nemo. to try and be like phenomenal, but it just didn't make sense. Work. And then like last minute, I was like, actually, that needs an O. So what I did was rather than reprinting, because I was cheap, I got a highlighter and put the O. And the whole thing looked like a mess. And every time I would have a parent or a student come in, they would look at it and they would be like, phenomenal. They're like, is that a different language? I was like, no, it's phenomenal work.
It's not a word.
I would literally be like, that is crap. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I was like, I started to like say like, this is not just Disney. This is a disillusioned Disney classroom.
I was like, this is called deranged Disney.
Where things are like unhinged. Nothing was ever hung straight. I used to get like counselors coming into my room to like do talks with like my freshmen. And like literally they would look at like my fire frames and stuff and be like, let me just try and like my ADHD is going off because this is so unstraight. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like actually cut the ADHD part because I don't know if people will get offended by that, will they? Should I say OCD instead of ADHD? Or do you think that? ADHD is fine, isn't it? Okay. So yeah, so people would come into my classroom and be like, oh my God, like, can I just straighten it? I'd be like, oh, no. And they'd be like, it's because like the things that I put in the wall were like completely crooked and I had no ruler and no patience. So yeah, it was like from head to toe, the whole thing was Disney-fied. And then as I like, especially when I quit teaching, I had 4 boxes worth of Disney decor. To the point where I had all my Disney Princess Music Money boxes from, you know, that series that got like over 1 million views on some platforms.
Okay, that's enough of that.
I had all my Disney Princess Music Money boxes that were all on like one shelf. And then I had a Toy Story corner where I had all the Toy Story like toys that I like put together, you know, so they were all bonded because I wanted Bo Peep, Woody and Buzz, you know, the race car, the whole thing. And like it just got to a point where I was like, I have boxes and boxes of stuff. And then I started collecting board games, puzzles, anything, because I was like, you never know. A student might ask me for a puzzle one day. They never did. I had like the whole Disney collection. This is Vinny's
origin story onto an episode of Hoarders.
I had like every single like Disney DVD and Blu-ray just in case there was ever a cheeky movie day. I was like, I need to have the whole collection just in case
Vinny,
to link with the standard.
No, this is horrifying. I'm so... If anything has said do not have a themed classroom more than this moment.
Each one's to the teacher, but just know, like, if you have a themed classroom, especially a themed classroom where you have daily agendas and stuff like that, that is a whole task that you are giving to yourself.
Yes, it's an extra thing.
You know.
Be forewarned, that's all.
Plan for the future. Don't make yourself sign up for something that you can't maintain. Please, whatever you do, don't do a seasonal one. A seasonal classroom decor where you transfer it every single season.
That's another.
Like, you know, a little poster, a little border maybe, but not the old Shazam, you know what I'm saying?
This week's Hot or Not. Vinny, what do you have for us?
Oh, these are 2 that I am so excited about.
I'm so excited.
These are the ones that like when we first like started coming up with this concept, I was like, I've got the 2. These are the first 2. These are my 2 like absolute faves. So
okay. What is not?
Not this week. Peacock Teachers. Do you know what? I don't know if this is a phrase, because this is what I coin a teacher that is just all for show. Anytime there's an admin present, they put the full show on. Oh. They're like a peacock. They're like, I got to spread my feathers. You know, like what does a peacock do? Like, does anyone know? What does a peacock do?
It squawks really loud
and
it
has
just beautiful
walks
feathers
around giving it all that. And that is literally what a peacock teacher does. They're the ones that do the reply all to the emails. The ones that like, you know, I must send an all staff email to let them know that I was at school at 5 p.m. on a Saturday. Really, Margaret? Maybe that's why your husband doesn't like you anymore and that's why he left, you know? Instead of bringing us in and telling us how much of an amazing teacher you are, maybe you should just back off a little bit. I'm like, you know, the best teachers are the ones that are humble and going in and bragging, or especially putting on the show, you know, when the admin ain't there being like, oh yeah, I just totally know what you're saying. And then as soon as admin's there, oh my gosh, here's this resource that you need to give. No, you're a peacock teacher. Take off the P and that's exactly what you are.
Well, okay. No. Okay.
I feel very passionately about this one.
Just going to leave that one there.
Do any Peacock teachers come to mind?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know if that's a phrase that people use, but I'm coining it. You should definitely be. I think it's a better way to say than, that B word.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Okay, what's hot this week then?
What's hot this week? This is a personal fave. Crop dusting students. Have you ever done this? I can tell you have, haven't you?
What is crop dusting students, Vinny? And then I'll tell you, maybe.
Crop dusting students is when, you've got teacher bladder, you've not had a chance to go to the restroom. Like, this is something that I learned very early in my career. Yeah. I was like, pooping is, like, you're lucky if you can pee, but number 2, that's going to have to wait till after the bell rings.
Uh-huh.
So I remember literally, and for whatever reason, I know I did this, and I'm sure a lot of teachers relate. You have this mindset of when you're like, especially in the new year, you've had your Christmas, your New Year's,
the sugary treats.
Treated yourself a little bit much, and you're like, right, new year, new me. And you'd always be like, you know what? I already screwed up on December 1st, December 2nd, whatever. I'm just going to wait till the school year starts. When I go back into teacher mode, that's when I'm going to start this new me transition.
Right.
So then you start with your fibre, you start with your cabbage, and it comes back out.
Not the cabbage.
The body is saying, I am both repulsed by waking up this early. I feel disgusted with these children. And now you've put all of this into my body trying to improve me. And now I am going to reward you by absolutely being close to sharting on occasion. And, with that, you end up doing some silent but deadlies because as a teacher, the first thing you cannot do, if you drop a loud fart as a teacher, that's it. You've lost those kids for the entire lesson.
It's done.
So you have to clench.
Not that I've ever done that before.
So you have to clench. You need to hold it in. You're feeling a bit you're like Elsa, Conceal, don't feel, don't let it show. But then the smell lingers.
But now they know.
So I remember I would do it where it would always hit me when I was letting the kids in, especially. I would open the door and I would drop one and it would smell, and they'd always be like, your classroom always smells. And I'd be like, oh, must be one of you. And I know fully well, I would sit at my desk when they were doing an exam.
Secrets revealed. Oh my gosh.
And I would drop a massive fart that would stink to high heaven. And I would have some air freshener in my desk. I would fart. And the kids would be like,
you sent out a smoke signal? Just
and the kids would be like, what's that? I would be like, someone's just dropped one, but I'm not drawing attention to him, knowing fully well that it was me. And then especially when I had a kid, that would test my patience.
Yeah.
If I was having one of those days where I was dropping the silent but deadlies, I would make sure to just circulate in an area and crop dust.
Oh my gosh. You would plan your attacks on certain kids?
And they would be like, mister, what's that smell? Must be one of you.
Listen, I am not admitting to anything, okay?
That means you definitely crop dust.
No, I'm just saying that is, you have to, in order for this to be hot, I feel like you have to plan it very well. You have to be very strategic in this. Like when the kids are coming in, that's a perfect time. You're right.
But
there's a lot of air movement.
For anyone that doesn't know what crop dusting is as well, because I didn't learn this phrase until I moved to America, so I don't know if it's universally used or if I'm just sheltered and never heard of it here. But yeah, crop dusting is just when you drop a fart with the intention or knowing that someone else is about to walk into it and smell it.
Yeah.
So you've crop dusted. It's like you've dusted the crops, but you've farted in someone's face, basically, as they
so
go through
awful. It's so awful. I can't.
So crop dusting is in, and Peacock Teachers.
Is it though? I have questions. Okay. This is a questionable one for me.
This is when all my ex-students are like, I knew in that room. Is that why you kept... And it was always it's always the enchanted forest, the Glade one that smells like Christmas. Mm-hmm. So they'll always associate Mr. Thomas's arse with
enchanted forest.
A little bit of Christmas. The scent of the season, arse and forest. Forest arse tree.
Oh my gosh.
For
Okay.
Forrast.
All right. Now for US
versus UK.
So this week for the US versus the UK, we're going to be we're going to be talking about college funding and how that's taken care of in our respective countries. I don't have a lot of good things to say about this for America. So once again, we're hoping for a win, but I don't think we're gonna get one. I don't know a lot about the
UK one.
Yeah. So would you like to
so
share?
In the UK, how it works is when you go to college, first and foremost, it is a flat rate in the UK. I think unless you go to something like Cambridge, it may be different, but all universities follow the same thing where they're like, this is how much it is per year in university.
What?
Yeah. Whereas here, the fact that you can have two colleges literally one down the road from the other and you're paying another 14 grand a year just because of the school name.
Yeah.
I'm like, to me, that's just ridiculous. I can't believe that's a thing and that's legal.
But that's the reality of America. Wow.
Yeah.
A flat rate.
So a flat rate for one. For
Can
two,
I ask you what the flat rate is?
So
or,
basically, this is like a notion for contention as well.
Okay.
It used to be £3,000 per year.
Okay.
And then it switched, and when I went to university, it tripled to £9,000 per year.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's still the exact same that it is now, or whether it's like shifted at all.
And this is going to be showing my ignorance really, really bad. £9,000 is...
Right now, the pound and dollar are quite similar.
Okay,
so
that's
it's
what I
probably,
thought. Okay.
I'd say probably around $11,000 per
That's what
year.
I paid for one semester.
Yeah, which is...
That's a good... Oh, that's after all of my scholarships.
Yeah. So what you do is when you go into university, you apply for a government student loan.
Okay.
And with a student loan, you have a loan and a grant.
Okay.
So you have the loan that usually pays that no matter what will pay for your entire tuition.
Okay.
Like off
and
the
you
bat,
have to pay that back.
You pay it back, but you only pay it back once you earn a certain amount of money, and it's
What?
only a certain percentage will go back. So if you're earning, say for instance, you hit the threshold, £50 will be deducted from your paycheck once a month because you've just hit that threshold.
They automatically take it from your paycheck?
Automatically take it out. You don't have to worry about paying it back. And if you don't earn enough money, you just don't pay it. It's not like they're going to call you up, you owe us money. They'll take it or they won't. And if you don't pay it, you don't pay it. There's no repercussion. And then if you move abroad, all you need to do is just tell them, oh, I've moved abroad, send them over what you're earning abroad, and they calculate it based on the cost of living in that country. And then you just have to put up a direct standing order. So I pay back £29 a month from my British account.
What?
And I have 60, 70 grand's worth of debt. And then after a certain amount of years, it just gets wiped off.
What?
Yeah. And it doesn't impact your credit score, anything.
What?
Yeah.
My husband loves America very much, but honey, pack the bags because we're moving to the UK. That's crazy to me.
But all of this is for UK residents. So if you're from out of the UK,
never mind. Don't pack the bags.
Varies. So yeah, I'm sorry. But
Don't
with
do it
that,
then.
so when you do your finance, you have to give your parents income. When you give them the income, there's also, so you have your loan granted for your tuition, and then you also get two different types of loans for cost of living, where you'll get, okay, here's X amount that you have to pay back that everyone gets, and it could be something like £4,000 throughout the year. But then you get a grant based on your parents' income. So that you don't pay back.
Oh, you get money based on your parents' income.
So that means just going into it, they'll be okay, here's X amount of thousands of pounds for the year that you have to pay back that goes onto your other loan. And here's another if you're from a lower income family, they can be here's another £4,000. That's a grant because you're from a lower income family and we want you to be able to access the education.
Okay. I mean, I guess they do that with scholarships in the US, but you have to apply for them extensively.
Like, and in here, there's so many like random grants and loans and everything, and it's not common knowledge. Like, there's no education into how to find those and how to apply for them.
Yeah, I had to research all the scholarships that I could possibly want. I'm like, $500? Yeah, I'll apply for that. Like, I'll take whatever I can get. Because, we applied federally to get our loans. And then I had to get privacy loans, too, because the federal loans only covered so much of. So I have private loans, too. Oh, my God.
And the private loans are what gets you. Yep, they're the ones where they
get you good.
Like, luckily, my wife worked at like the scholarship office. Like when she was at her university. So she would learn about all of these different like loans and grants and everything when she was working there. And she was like, if I never worked here, I would have never known any of these existed. And there are like really specific ones where it's like, oh, if you're like in university or college and you're married, then this is a loan that you can apply for a scholarship. And things like that where it's very specific based on like whatever like demographic you fit in, but no one knows about this. So like she would have it where she would be going through it and she'd be like, okay, here's a grant or a loan or whatever, a scholarship, and there would only be like a handful of applications because no one knew it existed because it's not overtly publicized. Like there's all these things there, but no one's actually educated here on how to access them.
No, you just get out loans. That's loans and debt. That's how we're educated on how to get our
And
degrees.
then it's a different ball game when you're then looking into things like masters or like for me when I did my postgraduate certificate in education.
Yeah.
Because you get the loan that covers your tuition.
Yeah.
Then you get the loan that covers your cost of living. And then you also get grants based on what you're doing. So like to go back and do my English teaching certificate, I got given £9,000 because I got a B in my undergrad, and they were like, we think you're going to be a great teacher. So they were like, just off the bat, you get $9,000 throughout the year.
What?
Spread out.
What? No. This is ridiculous. I'm so depressed.
Like, there's a lot of things in place there. Like, and I think even the fact that in England, like, because that's the way it's set up, that's why they prioritize things like having the education system where when you're like 16 through 18 and you finish your 11th year of school, you then do either advanced levels where you then choose 3 or 4 subjects that you do in more depth than you ever did in school. Or you do like a BTEC, which is basically just like focusing on one subject but doing it all the time for like 2 years. Or you go on an apprenticeship where you're like, you know what, school isn't for me, but I want to be a hairdresser, for example. Yeah. So you can do an apprenticeship with a company. Because then all of that bleeds into when you then go university, you've already started, you've chosen your 4 subjects and then you bleed through and you're like, out of those 4, I like this one the most. I'm then going to go to university and do it. So the stepping stones for it prepare you for it. And then you only do a 3-year undergrad instead of 4 years here. Because they're like, we want you to get through this.
Right.
You only need 3 years. And after those 3 years, like you've got the same amount of knowledge that Americans have after 4 years here that they're paid significantly more and are now severely in debt for.
So who is the dumb one? It's me. Okay. Well, once again, UK takes this one.
And obviously, like, but then that's what blows my mind. The fact that like in England, like I remember when it went up to 9,000 a year, I was like, this is extortionate. I can't believe how expensive it is. But then when I spoke to my wife here, I was like, oh my, that is on another level. I don't even want to tell you. Like we pay like another mortgage to pay back our student and then
loans.
all of the fees and stuff you have to do just to apply to schools that you may not even go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a broken system. That's all about the money.
So now it's time for us to rant about the things that make us upset. All right, I'm going to go first because, again, I'm just the loser at this.
The loser takes it all.
Everyone's got to be the little sideshow. So here's my sideshow. Okay,
your one is when someone either asks you to come see them or that you have to call them at some point.
Why are you doing that to me? I am going to have anxiety about what we need to talk about. And because I'm a paranoid freak who wants everyone to like her at all times, I am going to drive myself crazy thinking about all the different ways that I could have made you mad, that you could be mad at me. Like, what did I do wrong for you? And now I'm waiting for the next free moment. And guess what? There's no free moment in our day to do that. So thank you for nothing. I feel personally victimized by this. I'm preparing myself for the emotional trauma that's going to come to me. Your topic is when people call children kiddos.
This is an issue within America. I don't understand where this came from, but I do not like it. It rubs me off the wrong way. Oh, me and my kiddos. You and your kiddos. Oh, that's so funny, so quirky. They must absolutely love you. You and your kiddos just all hang out all day. Well, that's wonderful, Sharon, but maybe you should sit down for a minute and start calling them what they are, which is children or kids. But even then, kids. All I hear when I hear kids is a professor that used to go, woo, 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 every time I said kids. So kiddos is a different woo, 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 woo. Stop it right now. You're getting on my tits.
Yeah, I called my students kiddos.
My wife says kiddos as well. And because I do like my British versus American videos, whenever I do kiddos, I picture myself in an American accent. And there are certain times where I go into an American accent where I'm trying to like be like a cutesy American, or, you know, she a cutie. And it makes me go inwards where I'm like, oh yeah, me and my kiddo, yeah. And I just like, I feel my cheeks over taking my whole head in. I feel like I'm slowly melting in and of myself as I just go to the point of being like a fluffy marshmallow of niceness. That's too much for me to bear. Okay. And I feel like I'm melting.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
But I feel like, yeah, if I went into a British school and said, okay, kiddos, I think I would be roasted within an inch of my life. So when I hear it in an American school or in a professional development, especially back in the day, I would just be like, I can't take anything you say seriously from this point on.
What about when like teachers call them friends? Like, okay, friends, let's gather on the carpet.
So when I first came to America, I worked at a YMCA camp and that's how they used to address us. Hey, friends. And I was like, oh, part of a cult now, I say. Very nice. Went away for a little summer break, you know, camp counselor, and now I'm in a cult, cheeky. So whenever I hear friends,
my mum will be so proud.
And then I started saying it like ironically because I was like, hey, friends. And now I'm like, no, but I say mate all the time. I'm like, you all right, mate?
Oh, that's
like,
true.
But I wouldn't say, oh, you all right, friend? Like, to me, whenever I'm like, hey, friends.
So what did you call your students?
Just be like, class. Be like, right, everyone.
With that disgust, like, class.
Be like, okay, everyone, we're going to do this. I just call them everyone. Or I just say, right. Like, people would be like, I remember when I came here and people were like, oh, you need to have a student silencer. And they'd be like, what's yours? And I'd be like, right.
It is a really good tone.
Like, it just really draws you in because you're like, okay, he clearly has had enough.
Yeah, he is pissed off. Okay. Okay, now for our last segment where we're going to be showing appreciation and giving a shout out to those in education that don't normally get the appreciation and shout out that they deserve. And this week we're going to be shouting out the true heroes of our schools, the custodians. I loved our school custodians. They were absolutely amazing at what they did. And they just... I feel like they don't get a lot of respect in schools. And that makes me really sad because they work so hard to make sure that I'm happy, to make sure that the kids are happy, and they take care of that school. That school building is their sanctuary.
And I've seen this more and more. Like, I know, like, it's been a very much a hot topic in education, like student behavior and how, like, students, like, respect levels towards staff is like an all-time low. And I think I just saw a tweet today about a custodian that quit within a day. And it was because literally a student had like squeezed out their juice on the spot. And the custodian was like, why are you doing that? And they were like, because I want to watch you effing clean it up.
Oh,
and that's why they left. So it's like things like that, like, you know. You're a custodian. You go to work, and your job is to maintain the school, and you don't deserve to put up with things like that.
No.
And I think it's very unfortunate that that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that custodians deserve all of the respect in the world because they work and they do
Absolutely.
everything as best as they can.
Right. I think if you are a teacher, like thinking about the way that students treat the custodians, I think that starts with the staff at the school too. Like you need to make sure if you are on staff at a school that you are showing respect to those custodians. If we did a glitter project in my classroom, I made sure that the kids picked up after themselves so that, you know, our custodian didn't come in and have to scrub the glitter off the floor. Because that was it's just like not a nice thing to do. Like show respect to the people that are doing the best that they can, and it starts with you and me. So, all right, it's been another episode of the Hot Mess Teacher Express. You can follow us on all the social media channels: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And wherever you are listening to your podcast, wherever our melodious voices are headed straight into your ear canals, please share with those around you if you are loving what you're hearing. And we'll see you next week for the Hot Mess Teacher Express.